Do you want to start your own business? Online, offline, it doesn't matter. I want to help you get started or take it to the next level. I want to either help you start your business, grow your business, or build your business. Those are distinct things to me, and I want to help you where you are. And that's what we're going to talk about today. This is part 2. This is how I've built my business. The second half, if you want to listen to the first half of this episode or the first half of these lessons, go to ellerywells.com/built-my-business-1 or click the previous link in your podcast player and listen to that one. This is part 2. Let's go right in. I'm not one of those entrepreneurs who gave up their 6-figure salary and fancy office to start a business, and I wasn't selling lemonade to my neighbors when I was 7. I wasn't born an entrepreneur, and I never laid awake at night dreaming of owning my own business. My name is Ellery Wells, and I was forced to make a decision. Welcome to the Ellery Wells Show, where we talk with real entrepreneurs about real problems that they're facing and real solutions on how they are overcoming obstacles, achieving their goals, and making a difference in the world. If you're an entrepreneur or an aspiring entrepreneur, this is the place to be to help you start, build, or grow your business. The next thing that I did to build my business was I learned from my mistakes. I talked about this in the last episode. You've got to fail forward, but in this one, in this regard, you've got to keep failing forward, yes, but you also have to learn from what you did or what you did right or what you did wrong. Most of the people I talk to who have stalled in their growth have done so because they've become paralyzed by fear. They're afraid to try new things because they don't want to make mistakes, but they don't realize that every time you make a mistake, you can learn from it. And those people, not you, those people say things like, oh, that's easy. I can do that in no time. Have you ever had someone, you're trying to teach someone? When my clients say that to me, at first I was like, okay, just show me. Now every time one of my clients says, oh, that's easy, that part's easy, I can do that, I almost immediately tune them out. And that sounds bad, but I've seen it too many times. Oh, that's easy. Anybody can do that. Oh, that's the easy part. Well, then show me. Then show me it's done. That's what I want to do, because they never do it because they're afraid of they're making mistakes. One of my friends is starting in the fitness industry, and he said, "Oh yeah, it'll be easy to get people to sign up. It'll be easy to get clients." Are you kidding me? If it was easy to have clients, you would already have a waiting list. That's me expressing a little bit of frustration. I don't really apologize for it, but anytime you've said, oh, that part's easy, then it would already be done. If it was easy, it would be done. I hate making mistakes, and I hate looking stupid after putting myself out there, and I really hate failing to achieve my goals. But people who succeed fail more than most people try. During their attempts, they make a lot of mistakes, and they learn. We all learn from our mistakes more than we learn from our successes. When things go well, we don't always pause to examine and understand why. When we sign a new client, we don't always analyze the steps that they took to get to us, to get to sign on that dotted line. But when we don't sign that client, we look and say, where did I mess up? Where did I go wrong? What did I do? What should I do differently? We dissect it when things don't go according to plan. When they do go according to plan, we just accept it and say, yeah, man, I'm a freaking rock star. So we don't always examine to understand why when things go well, but when things go bad, we analyze everything to death. I bought the wrong things. In 2014, I spent an entire month on a project that would never make any money. I've sent duplicate emails to new subscribers. I did that with, I do that less now, but actually no, that's probably, my email system is fairly complicated. But one time, I won't go into that story, but one time I unsubscribed 308 people by mistake. And the list goes on and on. I've done so many things wrong, but I learned from each of those mistakes more than I did when I bought the right things or sent emails out the right way. The next thing that I did was I invested in myself. And over the last 5.5 years, I've invested more than 10. That's a lot of money. I've invested more than $10,000 on learning. I've gone to conferences, I've purchased books, I've bought new equipment for blogging and podcasting and vlogging, even though I don't always vlog or do video, and I have enrolled in a few courses. I've spent money on investing in myself, and write this down, an investment in yourself is never a waste of money. And like with the stock market, it's better to invest in yourself early, like man, I wanted to, the night of the presidential election in 2016, the stock market was tanking. Trump was closing in on a win, and the stock market was going down, and I thought, you know what, I need to roll over some investment money into a different fund tomorrow morning. So it's Tuesday, that must have been Wednesday morning. By the time I could have gotten to the bank the next morning, like by the time the banks were even open, the stock market had already rebounded. So I was like, okay, well, I'm just gonna hold on to this money, this cash, basically. And long story short, our stock market, the Dow Jones and all this stuff, like went up 30 or 40% in the last 6 months. Had I invested then, I would have gotten the returns all along, and I would have almost doubled my money over the last 6 months. And investing in yourself is the exact same thing. Invest early because you'll never know what you will need to overcome the next set of challenges. Invest in yourself now so you have a longer time to get returns on that investment. And if you are in the early stages of your online business journey, you should check out 8 Weeks to Exit at 8weekstoexit.com. Check out this promo real quick. Have you finally had enough? Has your boss or the company told you just one too many times that it will get better? If that sounds like you, I know you. You and I are just alike, and I felt like you are feeling right now, and I heard the empty words that you have been hearing. In 2013, just weeks before I got fired from my job, I made over $20,000 in commissions. And the same boss who would later walk me out the door handed me a trophy for being the, quote, MVP of our sales team. Oh, the irony. It was during that period that I decided to either A, polish off my resume and beg somebody else for a job, or B, see what I was made of and work on building my own business. And maybe you've had the same thoughts. Maybe you've been in a similar question, and maybe you've asked yourself this question: do I try or do I settle? If you would like to try, go to 8 Weeks to Exit and check out my new training program, and I'll show you how to build an online business in 8 short weeks. Head over to 8weekstoexit.com to enroll and to become a student. The next thing that I did was I stayed curious and I learned new things. I really enjoy learning. At one time, I pulled up the Wikipedia page. You can go to Wikipedia and they have like a featured article or featured whatever it's called. And I just read through the featured article of the day to see if I could learn something new. And of course I did. One time I was curious about the caffeine, the removal of caffeine. Like you can get decaffeinated coffee, but by nature, coffee beans have caffeine in them. So I was like, what does that process do? And I learned a lot. I did the same thing. Went to Wikipedia and I just read the page. Maybe it sounds nerdy, but I can have a conversation with anybody. This tactic has really helped me out. That process of learning really helped me when I was at Dell and I was selling to clients over the phone, because I spent time learning things, and because I approached life with a sense of curiosity, which bugs me when my cat's curious. Curiosity killed the cat, and I can understand why, because Boomer does crazy stuff, and I'm like, yeah, this is going to get you killed. Anyway, because I have that curiosity, I've always had something I could talk about. And whether it's NASCAR or NASA, always have a curiosity about life, at least a little bit. You absolutely won't regret it. And I'm not talking, well, sort of talking about current events, knowing what's going on, but just being able to, NASCAR and NASA, two things that I don't really care about, but I can say, Dale Earnhardt Jr. or, the Daytona 500, or I know if I was talking about NASCAR, it's like, hey, I know it's not NASCAR, but what do you think about Formula One? They just put in a big track here in Austin. It was just like $30 million. What do you think about that? And we would be able to have a conversation over a common topic. NASA, hey, I just watched The Martian and I was watching the special features and they were really awesome. When do you think we're going to be able to land on Mars, put a human on Mars? Do you see how that kind of curiosity allows you to strike up a conversation with anybody? Even if it's not something that you're totally interested, like really, I have no interest in NASCAR. Seriously, none. Anyway, I also got better over time. And that's the next thing on the list. I got better over time. And I hope you're getting better over time too. Hopefully the podcast is getting better over time too. I just noticed this. I'm talking sometimes really fast. I also noticed that my normal cadence of talking is really slow. Part of it might be because I'm from the South. I don't know. Partly because I try not to say and I try to think about all of my words. But I know whenever you're listening to a podcast, sometimes you don't need all of the slow talking and you want to speed it up. That's why I went with a podcast player from the smart podcast player, whatever Pat calls it. It's because you can speed it up. And that's one of the things that I try to do by getting better over time is I try to talk faster so you can consume the information faster. Part of being or becoming extremely successful in any area of life is knowing what you're good at and what you are not good at. And then as time goes on, successful people focus their efforts at improving on their skills and they rely on somebody else to do the rest. For example, Shaquille O'Neal, remember him? Shaq was terrible at shooting free throws and taking long shots, so they stuck him right under the basket. I think towards the end of his career, he practiced on his free throws, but he really only got to like a pretty bad free throw percentage. He just got better at dunking on people and stuffing people. And again, I'm not a sports person, but I did watch some basketball, back when the Bulls were in their heyday, and I think that Shaq was right around that time of Michael Jordan. I don't know. Tell me I'm wrong. Send me an email. Tell me when that was. But over the past few years, I've tried lots of things and I have failed a lot of things. Now I try to stick to my areas of strength and get better at those things. And if I want to get better at an email marketing, I read books about email marketing. If I want to learn how to design better landing pages, I study the landing pages of people who are experts in, landing pages. And I'll tell you this, when you stick to what you know well, people will start thinking you are arrogant and cocky. I've been told that more than once, but I will gladly tell you areas of my life and business that I'm not fantastic at. I just don't deal with those. I let Ashley do them, or I have somebody else do them, or long story short, I stick to what I'm very confident in. And when people who are not confident come across someone who is confident, they don't understand it. So if you, and I'm not saying you should be cocky, and I don't try to be coffee. I'm having coffee. I need some more coffee. I'm not trying to be cocky, but I stick to things that I know really, really well. So when someone comes to me with questions in those areas that I know really, really well, there's not a whole lot of doubt in my mind that my solution or my answer is really good. Part of that, I get it, is being the INTJ personality or whatever. But I'm pretty research focused. I learn and I study. That's probably a ramble a little bit too long. But when you stick to what you know really well, when you become an expert at a topic, people who are not experts, people who are not used to being around people who are experts and are confident in what they have to say, they don't quite understand it. Be all right. Be okay. In the last episode, part 1, be okay with or get comfortable with the feeling of falling down. Be comfortable with people not understanding you, and you'll be extremely successful. If you want to be successful, you've got to consistently and constantly be getting better and improving on your strengths. Do not focus on your weaknesses. Hire somebody to help you with them. Gary Vee at one point a couple months ago said, Don't focus on your weaknesses. Other people are going to focus on them for you, or don't point them out, or don't dwell on them. Somebody else is going to, something like that. It's absolutely true. Now, this next thing is something that I talked about in the Pick My Brain episode. That was on, I think iTunes just crashed on me. Oh, no, there it goes. I think it was on March the 30th, 2017. I'm double checking here. March 30th. Yeah. If you wanted to pick my brain, here's the advice I would give you. I hope you listened to that one, because I go into a little bit more detail of what I am about to share with you now, which is if you want to grow your business, you have to ask for the business. That's one of the things that I did. Actually, the last 2 or 3 clients, now that I think about it, they came to me and asked me to coach them. They were kind of cold. I just realized that. Interesting. Anyway, to get to this point where people are asking me to coach them, I initially had to ask for the business. I had to ask for the sale. It's pretty rare that someone comes up to me, even though the last few coaching clients have come to me. Actually, I'm kind of brainstorming and thinking out loud. I have gotten quite a few people that have come to me lately. I never thought about it. But in the beginning, it was rare that someone came to me and said, hey, I want you to coach me or build a website for me or mentor me or something like that. Almost every client that I had or that I coached or was in a mastermind group is someone who I initially reached out to and said, hey, I've got this problem I think would help you. You should check it out. Here's the link. And then I would follow up and ask them to enroll. After a few days, I'd follow up. You can't just ask somebody once. And I'm not talking about harassing people, but how many times have you gotten an email or you gotten a text message and someone's like, hey, let's go to lunch. And you're like, yes, I want to go to lunch, but you don't respond. And then a few days go by and you're like, oh man, I never responded to so-and-so. I need to do that. And then a few days go by and you're like, I never did that. The same thing goes for your business. You can't assume that nobody wants to work with you. You've got to ask them and remind them that they do want to work with you. And just follow up, ask for that business. One of the most powerful pieces of advice that I could give you is to ask for what you want out of life. Nobody's going to come and just come along. Nobody's going to just come along and give you what you want. To achieve every new level of success in my business, I've had to ask. And I just in the last couple of minutes got off of a coaching call with one of my clients. And she's looking out for everybody, except for herself. And maybe that's you. Nobody is going to say, hey, you know what? You've been taking care of it. Maybe when you're 90, nobody's going to say, hey, you've been taking care of everybody else. Maybe it's time you take care of yourself. Or usually it's, hey, you've been taking care of everybody. Let everybody take care of you because we're going to put you in a home or, whatever. But nobody is going to say it's time for you to prioritize yourself. But that's what I told one of my coaching clients. She's been doing all of this stuff for other people, and that's fine, but she's put herself on the back burner for far too long. And maybe that's the case for your business. You need to ask for what you want. And whatever you want to achieve, you've got to ask for it and you've got to go after it. The next thing that I did to build my business, and again, if you want to see all of these or leave a comment or check out the notes, you can go to ElleryWells.com/built-my-business-2. The next thing and final thing that I want to share with you is I made new friends. I've never had a ton of friends. Throughout my entire life, I've preferred to keep a close group of friends over having lots of just acquaintances. Part of it's being an introvert. Part of it's just I didn't want to try to fit in with first off, let me be perfectly honest. I didn't fit in with a lot of people. I wasn't the cool kid ever, really. Not the cool kid growing up. I was bullied and harassed quite a bit in 6th grade and part of 7th grade. And I just was never one of the cool kids, but I've never been one to have just lots and lots of friends, but I had a small group, like 3 or 4 guys generally that I kept really close friendships with. But I remember my first conference for online entrepreneurs or entrepreneurs in general or podcasters, bloggers, that kind of thing. And it was New Media Expo in 2014. And it was such an amazing experience for me to see people who were like me, people who wanted to start online businesses and leave their crappy jobs behind. And it was at that time and by attending other similar conferences that I began to change my sphere of social influence. And if you want to change your life, you have to change your friends. If you disagree with me, I'll tell you you're wrong. I've got the microphone and you don't. Now, I don't want to use this as a platform to just dictate anything, but I've had people, it was at a Toastmasters event that a lady argued with me, and I was talking about, you were the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And she's like, well, you can't just leave whatever behind. And that's not true. You are the average of the people you spend the most time with. You probably know that because you've listened to a bunch of these episodes. But you've got to change your friends if you want to change your life. You've got to find people who are doing what you want to do. I talked about this. Let's see, what episode was that? It was 3 friends you need to make now. And that was on August 7, 2017. 3 new friends you need to make today. Might have a different title on iTunes because, I'm split testing those. But find somebody who's doing what you want to do and hang out with them. Ask if you can learn from them. And if you're one of those people who says, like this girl at Toastmasters, but I like my friends now. Don't worry. There are great people where you're going. I talk to a lot of people who are hesitant to leave their old friends behind, and that's okay. But your current friends aren't likely to help you get where you are going. Maybe they are, and you don't know it, but usually not, because the people around us, they see our push for success as you trying to leave them and saying that you're better than them. Do you see? Have you tried that? Have you gotten similar results? Let me know. You don't have to give up on people, but if you want to achieve your goals and live the life of your dreams, you have to say goodbye to the old and say hello to the new. You don't have to do it in a British accent, which if you're British, you might not think that was a British accent, but that's a Texan version of hello, cheerio. We are the average of the 5 people with whom we spend the most time. So choose wisely. And again, if you're looking for people, if you want to change that group of friends, and if you're looking for entrepreneur-minded folks, and maybe you feel like, oh, there's nobody around me that does this, or I'm in a rural part of wherever, why not join one of my mastermind groups? You can find a link to that at elleryWells.com/builtmybusiness2 towards the bottom of the page. But here's the final thought. I absolutely loved doing this podcast and writing the post that goes along with it, and thinking about the past several years and how I have built my business, because sometimes we need to look back in order to see how far we've come. But here's the bottom line. You've got to change who you are to become who you want to be. I'll say that one more time. You've got to change who you are if you're going to become who you want to be. There's no way around that. If you have a business, how have you built it? And if you don't yet have a business, why not go and either enroll in 8 weeks to exit, or give one-on-one coaching a try, and I will help you start, build, and grow your business however I can. Thank you for listening to the Ellery Wells Show. I'm about to get started getting ready to go to Vegas here in a couple weeks. Actually, I'm not going to pack yet, because the things that I would pack, I probably am going to use. But I'm going to be in Vegas for the Thrive Conference. If you were tuning in to the giveaway, what was her name? I should know. The giveaway. I did by the way, if you're not on my email list, you might not have heard about the giveaway, but I gave away, almost, where is it? Gina in Arizona is the one who won the giveaway. She got almost almost $10,000 worth of stuff. She got a free $300 or $400 ticket to the conference. I'm going to take her to a private dinner with me and some of my clients and some of my business partners, and we're going to coach her for 2 hours and free food and things like that. And then what was the other thing? Oh, yes, my friend Jason Beaton, who owns Airtight Marketing at airtightmarketing.com, he's going to give her a email marketing sales funnel worth $7,500. He charges and can charge. He deserves to charge a bundle for his email marketing funnels, and he's going to give one of those to her. So Gina from Arizona, thank you for entering, and everybody else for entering. If you're not in my email list, I emailed everybody. So, and make sure you check your promotions tab. One of my new clients is like, "Hey, your emails are going to my promotions tab," and I said, "Welcome to email marketing." And when Gmail did the promotions tab, who knows how many valuable emails have been lost in the last couple of years because of that stupid promotions tab. I turned them all off. If you see one of my emails, go in there in the promotions tab or something, drag it to your inbox. You may have to tell my wife still gets them in her promotions tab. So drag and drop them to your inbox or mark it as not spam. Actually, if you add Ellery at ElleryWells.com to your address book, then you're more likely to get my emails into your inbox. Anyway, have an awesome day. This is the Ellery Wells Show. I'm your host, Ellery Wells. Go do something awesome.